Welcome to Literary Concepts. Today's topic is short story. Now, let us try to learn more about the short story. Definition of a short story: a short story is a brief work of fiction. It is a short work. Understand, a very short work of fiction means an imaginary story. It focuses on one single incident, one theme, or a character. One single incident and a theme or a character. It focuses more on one particular incident, and it is a concise one. It is a concise means it is very short, and we find the word count usually ranging from 1,000 words to 7,500 words in a short story. Within this word limit, a short story is written. So it aims to evoke a specific emotional response. So we find that a specific emotional response or a particular message is conveyed in a short story. Short stories generally focuses on, that is, concentrate on a single plot. So that is one particular plot story, and it usually takes place over a short period, within a short period that happens, providing a snapshot of a situation or experience. So here we find that an overview of a situation, a quick view of a situation or experience in short stories. Now let us try to understand the features of a short story. The first feature is conciseness. So that is brevity. That is using very uh, less words and conveying more conveying message. Okay, short stories are compact and focus on brevity. So short stories are unified one. Okay, a unified compact means unified one, and focuses on brevity, very shortness. That is very shortness, conveying message by using very less words. They eliminate unnecessary details. We don't find unnecessary details in short stories, and focusing on a central idea or theme. So here the focus is more on a one particular idea or one particular theme. The second feature is a single plot. So, short stories typically revolve around one main plot. So, one main story, one main one main concept, which is developed quickly due to the story's limited length. Okay, so we find that due to the story's limited period, the limited length, so on only one main plot, it is developed. The third feature is limited characters. We find limited characters in short stories, usually a small number of characters, often focusing on just one protagonist or a pair of characters, maybe two or three, allowing for deeper exploration within a short space. See, we find one protagonist, one central character, and along with or otherwise one or two characters, okay, two to three characters, but allowing for deeper exploration, so that we explore more, we look into more within that short time. So we find very limited characters in short story. The fourth one is unity of effect. Okay, we find that unity, okay, uh, unified and decentralized concentration. The short stories aim to create a single impression or effect. Understand? We find one single impression on us, or one single effect on us. Every element, whatever the elements we find it, It may be a character, a setting, a dialogue. Okay, all this will work towards the unified, okay, having a combined effect on us. That is the fourth one. Then the fifth one is focused themes. We find focused, the themes in short stories are more direct and straightforward. So very directly the topic is discussed and straightforward in an understandable manner. The themes are discussed reflecting specific ideas, particular ideas, okay, maybe morals and emotions. So we find one particular idea or maybe morals or emotions in short stories. Then the sixth one is economy of words. There is no space for unnecessary exposition, exposition or elaboration. We don't find dragging the story uh, in a lengthy manner. So that is exposition, very clear way of explanation, understand, and elaboration. Every word is chosen carefully to contribute to the story's impact. We find every word is carefully selected one, carefully chosen, understand, to contribute to the story's impact, for creating the story very in a impact manner, understand, influential manner. Then the seventh one is simple structure. We find the seventh feature, simple structure. Most short stories follow a simple structure. So that is uh, writing a short story in a proper order. That is introduction. We find there may be one conflict, one issue, climax, and resolution, solution, providing a complete narrative arc, the complete narration. Understand? So introduction, conflict, climax, and resolution. So these things we find in short stories. And the eighth feature is twist or surprise endings. We find many short stories feature unexpected endings, so we don't expect at all. So, unexpected endings means conclusions or plot twist, the story twists that leave a lasting impression, so which have an permanent, eternal impression on us. These are the features of short stories. Now, the types of short stories. Now, let us try to understand the types of short stories. The first type is literary short stories. Literary short stories. These focus on character, theme, and mood rather than plot. Okay, literary short stories, they focus more on character, a theme, the topic, and the mood. Understand that the method of presentation, so rather than the plot. They often explore psychological and philosophical themes. We find the psychological and philosophical themes in literary short stories. Example of literary short stories are A Good Man is Hard to Find by Flannery O'Connor, written by Flannery O'Connor, The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. These are the examples of literary short stories. The second kind of short story is flash fiction. Okay, flash fiction. Extremely short stories. These are extremely short stories, typically under 1000 words. Flash fiction are written just by using below 1000 words. They focus on brevity, understand the shortness, and often leave much to the reader's imagination. So they explain it, they write it in a short form, but they give more scope to readers' imagination. So, example of flash fiction: For Sale, Baby Shows Never Won. So, this short story is attributed to Ernest Hemingway, Understand it? So the second one is Sticks by George Sanders. So these are the examples of flash fiction. The third one is microfiction. So it is more shorter than flash fiction. These stories are often under 300 words. Microfiction is when it is compared with flash fiction, we find very less words, and that is written under just by using 300 words. They focus on a snapshot of a moment or emotion. So, microfiction focuses on one particular moment, one particular emotion. So example of microfiction is Widow's First Year by Joyce Carol Oates. Then the fourth one is mystery short stories. These mystery short stories revolve centers around crime, puzzle, something confused one, or enigma. So that is we can't understand the situation that needs it is difficult to understand that needs to be solved. So mystery short fictions revolves around crime, puzzle, and enigma. So that needs to be solved. Example of mystery short stories: The Murders in the Rue Morgue by Edgar Allan Poe, A Scandal in Bohemia by Arthur Conan Doyle. So these are the examples of mystery short stories. Now the fifth type of short story is horror short stories. So short stories aim to evoke fear and shock. So these main the goal of horror short stories is to evoke, understand, to evoke fear and shock, fear and shock. They often deal with supernatural elements or psychological horror. So we find the supernatural elements and psychological horror things in horror short stories. Example of horror short stories: The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe, The Monkey's Paw by W. Jacobs. The sixth type is science fiction or fantasy short stories. So these science fiction explore always a speculative, imaginatory, and futuristic, very modernistic and fantastical. Okay, fantastical elements, fantasy related elements. Okay, example of a science fiction or fantasy short stories: The Last Question by Isaac Asimov, A Sound of Thunder by Ray Bradbury. The seventh one is romantic short stories. The seventh type is romantic short stories. Here we find the themes of love and relationship. In romantic short stories, we find the theme related to love and relationship. They can range from happy endings to more bittersweet conclusions. So both combining the bitter experience, sad experience, and happy experience. Okay, at the end of the short story. So, examples of romantic short stories: The Gift of the Maggie by O. Henry, A Rose for Emily by William Faulkner. The eighth type of short stories, historical short stories. So these historical short stories are set in particularly historical period. We find historical period often incorporating, including real events and figures. Okay, we find real events which happened in the past, and the real figures which we find, okay, which we found in the past, in the history. Examples of historical short stories: The Garden Party by Catherine Mansfield, An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge by Ambrose Bierce. These are examples of historical short stories. The ninth one, humorous short stories. The ninth type is humorous short stories. The aim of humorous short story is to entertain and amuse readers. So it gives entertainment to readers. Okay, amusement, enjoyment to readers, often using the wit, satire, and irony. So these three, wit, satire, and irony, they apply it and they write. So examples of humorous short story. If, okay, The Ransom of Red Chief by O. Henry, The Night the Bet Fell by James Thurber. Okay, these are the examples of humorous short story. The tenth type is coming of age short stories. So these coming of age short stories focus on the growth and development of the protagonist, the central character, the growth and the development of the central character, often reflecting on childhood or adolescence, the young age. So focusing more on the childhood days and young age days. Example of coming of age short stories: A and P by John Updike, John Updike, Araby by James Joyce, Araby by James Joyce. These are the types of short stories. Some of the popular examples of short stories we find here below. So, The Lottery by Shirley Jackson, which was written in 1948. The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe, which was written in 1843. The Gift of the Maggie by O. Henry, so which was written in 1905. A Good Man is Hard to Find by Flannery O'Connor, which was written in 1943. The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman, so which was written in 1892. Harrison Bergeron by Kurt Vonnegut, which was written in 1961. A Sound of Thunder by Ray Bradbury, which was written in 1952. An Occurrence at the Owl Creek Bridge by Ambrose Bierce, which was written in 1890. Cathedral by Raymond Carver, so which was published in 1983. The Dead by James Joyce, which was published in 1914. So these are some of the popular examples of short stories which we find. So there are many more such kind of short stories in English literature. So I hope you understand this concept of short stories. So I thank you all.